Hello, amazing friends. Welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you. And today, guys, it is palazzo trouser with pleats. Yes, it's actually trending right now, right? Palazzo trouser with pleats. Now, the pleats, some do add theirs at the front alone, some at the back, okay? But whichever one, let's go, guys. The one we are making it with the front and back, okay? So this is the measurement I'll be using, all right? Waist, laps, hip, sitting, trouser length, and knee, all right? So just take a look, all right? You can pause to understand the calculation, but know that laps is divided by 2. Every other measurement waist is 4. Now, first thing first, all right? If you're going straight to Ankara to cut it, but because of the pleat, it's a pleat, all right? It has pleats. We must cut it on pattern first. Okay, that way you get to place your pleat at the center. So we are going for the pattern, okay? Now, this is my pattern paper. The highest measurement is 15, which is the laps. Yes, the laps is usually the largest, the highest measurement when it comes to trouser, okay? Having done that, we just need to mark half inches. Okay, what is this half inches? Space, for cutting and every other thing. That is what the space, the half inches is all about. Then once we do that, we'll start by marking our hip. I'm going for 10, okay? Our hip, our sitting, now you already know my sitting is 12, so I'll just start marking them. All right, then the knee, the rest is my trouser length. Okay, now this brown paper is by 40, but my trouser is length is 44. Okay, that means when placing it on the fabric, I will extend it more. Okay, so that is it. But first I need to mark out my line properly for it to look good before continuing. Then label. I have to write them down what it's all about. Now, for the measurement of this, the measurement I use, you can take the measurement yourself, all right? Or if you don't know how to take the measurement, especially the sitting and the rest of them, you can check that out on YouTube, okay? But this is the person's measurement, all right? This will be sewn on Ankara. So let's just start, okay? Now I've marked out the basic lines, all right? The down end of the fabric is my gown length, all right? And you already know the beginning is my waist. So for us to start, I have to start marking. Now the measurement I'll be marking first, the first measurement is my hip measurement, all right? That is what I'll be marking first. But first, let's go and write that up. That's my hip, my laps, or my flap, or laps, whatever, whichever one, or my sitting, whichever one. But that is the point where you mark your laps measurement, okay? So the next one is my knee and trouser length. Having marked this out, now remember I first of all mark half inches. So for me to start marking right now, I'll have to consider that half inches, all right? So I'm not starting from the ending of the fabric. Rather, I'm starting from where the half inches ended. That is where I'm starting from to mark. And my hip measurement is 10. You see the half inches, okay? That is where I'm starting. 10. All right. Then I'll go up, all right, considering the half inches too. 10. That is my hip measurement. The first measurement to mark is your hip measurement. Then get rule and connect. Okay. After connecting, we mark our laps. Our laps is 15. Remember that. That is 30. Abi? Yeah, divided by 2. Good. We equally consider the half inches, okay, when marking that. Now I'll connect that rule, the hip measurement, down to the laps or the flaps, then curve from the laps and connect it back to the hip. Good. Right, so that is it. Having gotten this, the next is to mark our waist. Now for me to mark my waist, I'll start from this. You can see where I place my tape, where the hip I measured, that is where you start marking for your waist. Then you connect it to the half you measured by the side. You can see where I'm connecting it. All right, now that is our waist. Okay, now the upper part, we are getting somewhere. All right, the next is the down part of this trouser. Now before we continue, we need to get the center of our trouser. And now, what is the center? The laps divided by 2 gives us 7.5. All right, so we'll mark it. I'm equally marking the half inches before starting getting the center. Okay. So let's get the center of the laps. The center is 7.5. I'll mark it. Okay. I'll equally come down and mark the center. Now, how do you get the center? The laps measurement, you divide by 2. Then you start measuring. Where do you start measuring? That area you marked the half inches at the edge of the pattern. That is where you start measuring. Then you connect it straight. This particular straight line, it is very important in all your trousers. Sometimes you see trousers that will be moving one side. It's because they moved the whole measurement one side, okay? Now, if you have this center, whatever you want to do will be on this center, all right? You want to make it pencil, divide the measurement. You want to make it full, divide the measurement. Now, if you want the down of this trouser to be like 10, all right, you divide it by 5, by 2. From the center where you marked, you measure 5. From the other side, you measure 5. You connect it. It makes your trouser to stand still, straight and better. So, but for here, I'm going with 6. All right, now I've marked it. So I'll just connect it from the flap. Connect it down. I will equally connect the other one. Now the down part of your trouser can be any, whatever you wish it to be. It can be wider, it can be pencil, it can be straight. But for this particular one, I'm going with 6. So that is it, alright? You are done with the trouser. The next thing right now is to cut. That is our front pattern. Our front pattern is ready. Scissors. And we cut. You can watch me while I cut. Now, for us to cut the front, we need the back, sorry. For us to cut the front, the back, we need to get the front ready. The front will serve as a pattern to the back. Very important that you use your front trouser for pattern at the back. And secondly, you will ask me allowance. What of allowance? There is no allowance when cutting the front. When cutting trouser, short knicker, whatever trouser, short or long, palazzo trouser, pencil trouser, straight trouser, the allowances only goes to the back, please. Only the back, that is where you add 2 inches allowance, okay? Now, having cut this, the next thing right now is for us to cut the back pattern. Now, remember I told you the back you can equally decide to put pleat on the back. You know, it will serve as that. It will serve as that, you know, to your back trouser. Some sew it up, it can be sewn up as tuck, alright? It can be pleated, whichever one you want, but have it in mind when cutting the back, consider what you want at the back. So, but for this particular one we are cutting, the back and front has that pleat. Okay, the back and front has that pleat, so the same pattern is applicable. So we need to get the back. Now, first thing first, before you mark your back, you mark out 2 inches. You see the upper part, that is the 2 inches. In all trouser knicker, they must be 2 inches above. Why? Because of your buttocks. You know, the back has buttocks, the front does not. Why the back needs it is to enable the trouser, you know, because of the buttocks, for it to fit very well and not open up, okay? That is why. Now, depending on how big, there are massive buttocks. So if it is massive, you have to consider increasing maybe to 2.5. All right, but have it in mind that above your waist there is always 2 inches when it comes to the back. All right. Now, once you've placed it this way, when you want to cut your back, the next thing is add your sewing allowance. Okay, the allowance goes to the flap. You can see it. That is where you add your allowance. Your allowance goes to the flap, okay, to the back measurement. So have that in mind. Your flap, your knee, and your trouser length, you add. You can see that is the flap, okay. You add your 2 inches, okay, at the knee. You see where I'm adding it, you add your 2 inches, and the trouser length, you add your 2 inches first, Then you get your rule and connect it. That is our sewing allowance. In all trouser, that is where allowances, you add allowance, okay? Now what next is for us to connect, okay? Now the same allowance you added, you equally need to add it to the waist. But for the waist, I like to go lower, okay? I like to go for 1 inches or 1.5 at 1 at least, okay, for my allowances. Then we mark. Then you connect it up. Now from there you curve. Now when working with the back, the curving should not be too deep. You get, it shouldn't be too deep. It will curve, but let it not be too deep. Then once you have done that, the next thing is to slant. Now look how I place the slanting. You're connecting it back to the waistline. Back to the line where the waist is. That is where you are connecting it to. Okay. Let me get my sellotape to hold this down so that it will be in place. Now having done that, let's connect it. You can see I'm connecting it back to the waist. That 2 inches above is needed at the buttock side, and this is where I'm marking right now is the buttock part. That is the part the buttock stays, or where the buttock passes, or however, but that is the back. That is where the buttock stays. Okay, so having done that, you measure your waist. Then the next thing right now is to cut. All right. This slanting first. Now you're seeing what I'm cutting. That is how you cut your trouser. Now we need to cut all that out. Then you need to cut the flap, back flap. That is it. You probably cut the down part. That is it. Now the next thing we need to cut now is the center. We need to determine the center. Now that same center, we need to connect it straight up. we need to connect it straight up. We need to connect it straight up. All right, now for us to cut, we'll start cutting. Now this second cutting is because of the pleat at the front. Now the pleat started from the waist, so we need to cut through. Okay, and the pleat is applicable to the front and back, so we are cutting the front and back the same. Have that in mind. What we are cutting right now is front and back together. That is what we are cutting. Good. Now after cutting this, the next is to get our fabric. Now because of this cut and sprayed, this is the main reason why we need pattern for our palazzo with pleat. Okay, for us to place the pleat at the center, the pleat will be at the center. Okay, now this is the fabric I'll be using. Okay, this is the Ankara I'll be using for this dress. Now Ankara is already by 44-45 already, so the length is the original length, gives me my size. Okay, it gives me the trouser length. So what we just need is fold and place the pattern on it and cut. We don't need to consider the length. The Ankara length is okay already, you know. The length gives us what we want. So but first we have to fold and get the proper folding. And for us to fold, the highest measurement in this trouser is the laps, which gives us 15. And for this pleat, I want it to be between 5 inches. All right, so 15 plus 5 gives us 20. That means we are to fold 20 inches in total. Like you're folding, because you know the front is 2, you fold into 2 and cut 2 pieces. The back is 2, you fold into 2 and cut 2 pieces. So for the front, we are going for folding 20. Once you do that, you fold your fabric. The next thing is to place. Now the way what I am to do next, or the way I placed it right now, that is how you equally place the back and cut. Hear me please. This placing I'm about to do right now, that is the same way you will place the back and cut. The cutting are the same, the placing are the same. All right, so we are going for the front first. The front, we have to cut the front first. Let me get my pattern. So that's my pattern. Now you already know it has been, my pattern was cut into 4 in total, front 2. So what I just need is to place them. Then let me pin. All right, it needs to be placed properly, so I have to pin to avoid making mistake. and to avoid the fabric moving. So now this is what I've placed. Okay, I had to pause and place it before continue videoing. All right, now this is how you place it. Now watch it. 5 inches, that is the space. Now this space in between, it is this pleat. That space of 5 inches has to be pleated. Now this same pattern, that is what you equally do to the back. When cutting the back, you equally place the back this way and cut. All right, just like I told you, the ankara is the full length.